My friends, good evening. It's really nasty weather on the Gulf tonight. They're firing missiles. So, well, there you go. The enemy has just begun. We don't know how it will end. Anyway, I'm just looking for a quiet place. As you've seen, I'm simply seeking peace and quiet in my life. I just want a nice place where nothing special is happening, all right? And then, well, there you go, I fall. In the midst of the war of his time, the supreme leader of the Iranian revolution, Ayatollah Khamenei, he is 86 years old and he looks very fired up. There you go, that's me at the beginning, before all of this started. I didn't want any trouble with those clowns. I just wanted us to leave them alone in their corner and for them to forget about us. That's it. Unfortunately, it didn't happen like that. So we have June 12th, just to remind you a bit of the background. June 12th, there was an Israeli bombing on Iran. It was actually a bombing meant to provoke the United States into entering the war, because they know that anyway, with Trump as president today, it's now or never. If they want to get rid of Iran, so of course they can't attack Iran to destroy it. But they know that Trump will do the job for them. So Trump, what did he have? He fell into the trap. I mean, now today, I'm looking a little bit online and everything. He would lose a lot of his base because he came in saying, here I am, I'm the president of peace, stability, of I don't know what. If we look a little bit at the bigger picture, we have to see things in a general way and in a particular way. When, for example, someone gets diabetes, they get diabetes, it's a known disease, they get it on a general level, but they also get it on a particular level. The thing is, if we look at American presidents, they all need a war. Of course, we can go into the particular details of these, we can talk about them, but the reality is that Trump is now a normal president. There was an exception during his first presidency where indeed there was no war. But the fact is, it's still a very traditional system. If you look at January 17th, 1961, when President Eisenhower was leaving office, he was finishing up, and Kennedy was going to replace him 3 days later. He gave a national address which is still available on the American Archives website. So, if you look for that speech by Eisenhower, the last one, his farewell address before he left, you'll see that. Literally, he mentions the military-industrial complex, saying that it has grown to a large scale in the country, and that, well, it's something we should be wary of in the future. And it needs to be kept under control. Obviously, well, it wasn't kept under control. Here is the result. So I imagine that now the Gulf countries are extremely upset with the Trump administration, because they gave him a lot of money, all that, but it was so that he would ensure stability. And now what he did is, well, he bombed, actually even illegally in reality, because he didn't even ask for Congress's authorization. You might mention Congress, but Truman just ignores it. When he declared the Korean War, which was much more deadly, he didn't ask anyone for authorization. Okay, so this is a classic. That means we have people who arrive at the White House and then, well, they're going to serve, but they won't always serve the American people. So that's where we are today. It's just a little historical aside and all. But here's the situation today. Several countries have closed their airspace. I heard about Qatar, that's for sure, Bahrain, all of them. There are images of missiles flying over Qatar, and there are also lights that can be seen. Those aren't missiles, you'll see them on Twitter and elsewhere. They're countermeasures. They're interception missiles launched from the ground. So the sky is a bit saturated with these lights, these trails. These aren't necessarily missiles coming from Iran. They're more like responses to that. It happened during the night. Anyway, like I was saying, Khamenei is 86 years old. He has nothing to lose. So at that point, the risk is seeing things flare up. That's the optimistic scenario. I was going to say, you see, I'm starting to see the glass as half full, half empty. So no, that's not really it. The story is that we might be heading towards a situation of symbolic bombing. What does that mean? That means if you look at Trump, he didn't bomb Iran actually. He didn't strike Iran. He hit an empty field. He hit bases that had been empty for a very long time. Isn't that right? Yesterday there was a wedding. There was a wedding in France. There were gunshots. During this wedding, the bride was killed. In fact, that caused more deaths than Trump's bombings on Iran. So in reality, we're talking about a symbolic response. That means it feels like Trump. He's torn between two sides, a warmongering faction, and like every American president, is surrounded by warmongers. We hear the same speeches. Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, we've seen it all. He just has to satisfy that. But at the same time, there are his campaign promises, there's his persona, there's Make America Great Again, there's the priority on the United States, all of that. So in a way, it feels like Mr. Trump tried to split the difference. He wanted to please everyone, including the neoconservatives around him. So, thinking to himself, fine, you want a war, I'll provoke a war. So he symbolically bombed Iran. He fired some shots, as they say, in empty lots, right? He says, yes, that's it, now I'm ready for peace, meaning that's enough, we can stop. The problem is there are people today who are very upset with him. As I was telling you, that's why they're going to retaliate. Well, I hope that they too, in their retaliation, will keep it symbolic. And after that, it stops. Well, now, if they really want things to heat up, well, things will heat up. There's that risk too. Yesterday, there was a false alarm because yesterday, by following maritime traffic, we thought that Iran was going to close it. The Strait of Hormuz, it's a strait that closes off the Persian Gulf. And in this Persian Gulf, there's only one exit, and that's the Strait of Hormuz. You can't get out through the faucets, you know what I mean? So I'll cut this out in editing. So I was saying that if they close it, there won't be any Ben. The boats, the ships, the tankers, especially the oil tankers, won't be able to get through. At the level of Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, a good part of the Emirates, and even a good part of Iran as well. So yes, crude oil traffic might get pretty intense. The problem is if you look at Europe, because I don't have a dog in this fight really, but if you look at Europe, that's where the big trouble is going to happen. If any trouble occurs in the region, especially in Iran or Iraq, this is what will happen. What's going to happen is that we might see unrest in Europe in the sense that there will be waves of migration who arrive in Europe. We might see fuel at 5 euros per liter in Europe. And when you have economies that are drained after COVID, after the proxy war with Russia, all that, you add to it, you add this whole story of war with Iran and the escalation. I mean, we might reach our climate goals pretty quickly. We might even surpass them. Alright, anyway, my friends, that's it. I'm going back out to the balcony to see if I can spot any missiles. Well, I hope I won't see any, but you never know, and I'll make another video for you when I can. Thanks, see you soon. I'll make another video when I can. Thank you and see you soon.